Hello, my name is Cheryl and I work for the North Olympic Library System. Today we are making a three-dimensional snowflake. This snowflake only takes a couple of different supplies. It's pretty easy to make. If you were able to get a kit from the library, the library kit has some step-by-step instructions, as well as 8 pieces of 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch paper. These were cut from 2 sheets of copy paper. You can see in my sample I used some green paper for that one. You can use white, any color you want. Somewhat lightweight is useful because it folds a little easier and curls a little easier when we make the little branches for our snowflake. If you want to, you can use your own copy paper to make extras. Also in the kit from the library, we have a suction cup hook and a piece of ribbon to help you hang your snowflake when it's all done. And last but not least, we have glitter glue, which we're using to glue our snowflake together today, but it can also be used to add some decoration to your snowflake when you're all finished. Let's get started. Before we dive in, I just wanted to share a couple suggestions I have for other supplies that you may want for making your snowflake. So within the kit, we have everything except for the tools. And the only 2 tools the one you have to have is a pair of scissors. The other one I suggest is a pencil or something else similar in shape and size to this. In addition to that, there are other glue options and decorating options. You can have markers and glitter and things like that if you want to decorate your snowflake. I do suggest you decorate after your snowflake is done because you don't know exactly where you're going to be cutting and folding, and so waiting till it's finished, even though it's a little difficult, is the best time to do the decorating. At least that's what I found. So the other suggestions I have for adhesive is a regular glue stick, some white glue, a stapler can help attach the branches to each other, and I also like an adhesive tape runner that's a dry adhesive. If you're using white glue and the glitter glue, you just have to hold the pieces together for a minute or two before you move on, just to make sure they stick to each other. So our first step is going to be folding our paper squares into triangles. So you're going to start with a square of paper and you're going to fold it till the points meet and you're going to crease. And so we're folding this diagonal, bringing 2 points together. And you can see I have another one here, so let me show you that one more time. Sometimes it's easier to fold towards you to match up those points, so your goal is to match the points first and then fold. Okay? Once you've folded that once, you're going to actually fold it again and bring, so we've got an opening here, we're going to bring the bottom point up to the corner, and we're going to crease, and we're going to fold. And you are going to end up doing this for all 6 pieces of paper. So our next step is going to be cutting the lines in our paper triangles. And you can see I have an example in my handout showing about where you want to cut these lines. And you'll notice that these lines are coming this way, making a triangle, and then several slices across this way. So that looks like this. And this is going to be the most common place where people make mistakes. I actually did it several times wrong because this one I was cutting from the correct side. You can see there's a double fold there, and I cut from that edge over. But in this one, I was cutting from that double fold line, but instead of going this way, I turned my paper this way. And what happens is I end up with a square of paper that won't fold to make my 3-dimensional triangle. So this is also why I gave you extra paper, just to make sure. So if you hold your paper, so you can see this one's already cut. If you're right-handed like I am, I will hold my paper in my left hand, and I am going to cut from that double folded edge. I want to make sure that's on the side closest to my body. And then I'm going to cut 4 lines across. Now the other thing you'll see is that line stops before you get to the other side. If you cut all the way through, then you'll end up with a hole in your bigger hole actually in your snowflake. So I'm just going to take the first one and cut a little ways across. I'm stopping about 1/4 inch from the edge. going to do a second one. And so remember, not cutting all the way across is the trick here. And 1, 2, looks like I'm making them a little wide, so I'm going to make that one a little bit smaller. So the nice thing is these do not have to be perfect. Each petal, like snowflakes, even though they're pretty much mirror images of each other, yours don't have to be. So let me show you that step one more time. We're going to hold our triangle with our hand that we're not cutting with. We want that opening, two layer opening towards us, the point to the right. And if you're left-handed, of course, you would turn this over and cut with your scissors with your left hand. So we're going to go here and we're going to start by cutting through this side that has 2 folds, not the side with 4, but the side with 2 coming towards me, and I'm going to cut. And I'm going to do the next cut, and again, not all the way through, just part way across. And we're trying to make, I'm using 4 cuts. You can make them tinier if you really wanted to. It would mean you'd have a more intricate and have more folds to complete on your star. And you can do less and it won't be quite as many folds. All right, so now that I've finished cutting across, I have all my triangles, and I've done this for all 6 of my squares. Now what you can do, since we're doing this as a video, is you could stop right now, and if you haven't already, finish folding your triangles and finish doing your paper cuts. And then once you're done with that, we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, so the next step in our process is we're going to take each of those triangles that we cut and we're going to unfold them. And this is a little bit of the tricky part because we're going to be rolling the paper and gluing it together. So it can take a little while to do this. And again, you can pause the video as you go to stop and work on each section if you'd like. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with one of our squares, and I'm going to use my pencil. And so what I'm using my pencil for is I'm using it to help roll the paper around the pencil, and it helps it curl a little bit. So if you can see this, I'm taking my pencil and I'm just rolling that little point right around there. So see how that works? And then the pencil actually is nice because it gives a little stability even when I'm going to glue. So I can hold it kind of underneath where I'm working and help it hold the glue in place. So let's grab our glue. And I'm going to put a little dab of glue on the top of one side of this petal. Now the fun thing about the glitter glue, I mean the glue itself dries clear, the glitter will still be on your snowflakes. So if some squishes out, that is just fine. So now, I'm hoping you can see this well enough, I'm going to take that little bit of glue I put there and I'm going to stick my other piece of paper right over the top and just press it down, hold it in place. And what I found is with the glitter glue, I just kind of have to hold it for a few seconds. So I'm going to hold that for maybe about 30 seconds. Until I know it's dry. If it comes apart or you need a little more adhesive, you can put that on there. Sometimes I have to add a little more glue. And then this is also where you could choose to use a different glue at this point. You could use a glue stick. You could use regular white glue. I like to use my adhesive runner because it's dry and it sticks right away. So I'm just kind of holding that in place. That looks pretty good. Okay, so there's my first roll. We can see that sticking out. Now I'm going to turn my square over and I'm going to work on the opposite side of my first roll, and I'm going to take the next layer and I'm going to roll these ones and stick them to each other. So our snowflake becomes three-dimensional because we're putting rolls on both sides of the paper. So there's one. And now sometimes what happens at this step is I pull it a little hard and this one comes unglued. So that's why it's helpful to let the glue dry pretty thoroughly. So now I'm going to roll. So you can see I used my pencil to help just make a quick roll. It helps me bring the paper together a little better. And now another dab of that glitter glue. Doesn't matter which side, just the top of one of them. I like to use my pencil to help me kind of hold things in place. And I push that down. And if you get a good look at that, sometimes on these outer ones, I try to match up so that the point from one side comes to the opposite side there. So you can see I've got another roll going. Got that little working well. And again, your pencil, you can help that to use that to help you kind of push down and make sure that the paper is stuck together. So once I think that's pretty good, I give it about 30 seconds to a minute for each one. So like you could work on all 6 of your snowflakes at the same time and do the same thing on each one as you go. That way it gives a chance for your glue to dry, or you can work with one branch at a time. So now that I finished my second one, I'm going to turn it over again, take my pencil, and I'm going to roll. One roll. You can see this doesn't take too long, but you're making 6 of them, so that may take you a little while. And what you can do when you're done making your first one, if you want, you can pause the video while you make the rest of your snowflakes branches, and then after that you can restart it when we get on to the part of putting our snowflakes together. So again, you can see I squirted a little bit of glue out of there, but you know what, I don't really care. It makes it sparkly. When I have lights in my window, I like to put different colored lights up in my house, and that will help catch the sparkle off of my glitter glue on my snowflakes. So I'm just pressing that, making sure it's stuck, giving it about 30 seconds, and you can see the other one is staying. And if one of them comes undone underneath, just sneak a little glue in there and stick them back together. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3 rolls so far. Now I'm going to turn it over again, and I'm going to roll with that pencil one more time. 1. And you can see the further out we get, the bigger the pieces of paper and a little easier they are to stick to each other. So we're going to do glitter glue again here. And what I talked about matching up is, you can see I'm just going to bring this square over the top and try to bring it all the way up. And so they kind of overlap each other. Hopefully you can see that okay. Oops, and it came undone. And that happens. So sometimes this project takes a little patience, mostly because the glue needs to dry, and if I get in a hurry, then they come apart. Okay, so I'm squeezing, giving it a chance to dry. So you can see there is my 4th roll. Let's see if we can give you a bunch of different angles of that. You can see it's stacking up, 1, 2. And then my last one, I'm going to turn my snowflake over one more time, and I'm going to roll my outer row. So 1 roll, 2 rolls, and let's glue these 2 together. So there is a little bit of glitter glue, and my paper, I'm going to bring that one up. You can see I just brought that one up and sandwiched it right on top. I'm going to squeeze and hold for just a second. You can wipe off extra glue if you want. Just be careful you don't touch your nose or your cheek, or you'll end up with a glittery face. All right, so now you can see I have completed my first snowflake branch, and it's sticking to my thumb a little bit. And it looks like this from the side. You can see it looks like this. You can see in those little circles how their loops are. And we are going to set this one aside, and then we want to finish making all 6 of our branches for our snowflake. So this is a good time to pause the video and work on those branches, and I'll be right back. Okay, now we are ready to assemble our snowflake. So you should have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 branches for your snowflake. And this can be a good time to add some decoration to your snowflake if you'd like. You can see I have a sample here. Bring that up close. I ran a strip of green glitter glue down the middle of that one. And I also did some kind of on the edges of that one. You can also do this when you're all done, just to make sure you have enough glue or adhesive for this. So I'm going to set my sparkly one aside. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start attaching the branches to each other. And if you hold up a branch, you'll notice that because we have 5 curls, each one has 1, 2, 3 on one side and 2 on the other. And so when I go to put my petals together, my branches together, I want them all facing the same way. If you do it wrong or the other way, it's totally fine. But this will help them nestle just a little bit tighter. And so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And what I recommend doing is putting 2 together to start, which I've done here. So I have 2 stuck together, and I'm going to add a 3rd one to that. So you can see I've got 3, 2, so 3, 2, 3, 2, and then we're going to have 3, 2. So then I'm going to take my adhesive, and it can be your glitter glue at this point. Sometimes tape works really well. You can also use a stapler at this point to attach them in the center. So I'm now going to make the 2 ring side connect with the 3 ring side. And we're going to stick those together. So I have half a snowflake here. I'm going to set that down, and I'm going to do the same with the other side. So the reason I do 3 at a time is because I'm going to put the 2 halves together, and you'll see there's just a little point kind of sticking up here. I'm going to layer these together in the middle, and that helps make a nice tight snowflake. So next we're going to we have a 3 and a 2 and a 3 and a 2, and I'm going to apply a little adhesive right here, and I'm going to stick those 2 together. So I'm sticking an inner point together like that, and then I'm going to add my last one, which was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Put a little adhesive on that one and stick these together. And again, your glitter glue will work just fine here. What you're going to want to do is just kind of sit with that wet glue and just hold it for a good 30 seconds because there's a little pressure on it and you want them to stick together. Okay, so now we have 2 halves of a snowflake, and we're going to stick them together using those little kind of triangle pieces that are sticking up. So for 1 half, I'm going to again apply a little adhesive, and again it could be glitter glue. I'll stick a little glitter glue on mine there, and I'm going to sandwich those together. So 1 triangle in the middle and that triangle. Do you see those? And I'm just going to layer them. I'm going to have to stick my fingers kind of in the middle to hold it together. I don't know if you can see my fingers in there. So I squished those 2 triangles together in the middle. All right, so now I have a snowflake, and there's a couple things we're going to do to finish up this project, and let's get started with that next. All right, so now we're ready to finish our project. So we have a snowflake here, and you'll notice it's a little wobbly, but if you look, you can see where there's like a little crisscross pattern on the side here. And I'm going to glue those together between each of my branches, and that'll provide a little stability to my snowflake. So if I glue those 2 pieces together right there, and I'll do that in 6 places all the way around my snowflake. So I'll do that real quick. There's my glue. I'm going to reach in and squish those 2 triangles together. Let's do the next petal, the next branch. I don't know what to call those. Does anybody know what you would call them on a snowflake? I feel like branches are a good way to describe those. So squeezing in the next 2. Careful not to glue my fingers. And we've got another one here. And I'm going to stick those 2 together. So now that we have all of our branches stuck together, we are going to add our ribbon and decorate. All right, so next we're going to put our ribbon through so we can hang up our snowflake. So I'm going to take my ribbon, and in one of those lower connections right here, you can see on my snowflake, I'm going to loop my ribbon through under there. So just going to tuck it in reach in and grab it, pull it out. So there it is. So there's my ribbon. And I'm just going to tie a quick little knot in there. So my ribbon is on my snowflake and ready to hang up. Now this project is a fun project you can use to decorate your home in the winter time or for the holidays. Maybe it's something that you'd want to make for a gift for somebody. It's sure to be something that will add some sparkle to anybody's house. Now that you've finished your snowflake, you can choose to decorate it any way that you would like. You can use the rest of your glitter glue to add glitter and sparkle to your snowflake. I sometimes find that a paintbrush can be helpful with that. You can brush the glitter glue out so it's more sparkly. In this snowflake that I made earlier, I don't know if you can see it, but I have little dots of sparkly glue on there that'll help it catch the light when it's sparkling in the winter. I hope you had fun making snowflakes with me today. If you'd like to share your finished project with the library, you can send that to dearlibrary@nols.org or tag us on Facebook or Instagram and share your snowflake with us. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.